You are not as rational as you think. The decisions you make, the people you trust, the things you believe about yourself, all of it is shaped by psychological forces you are largely unaware of. And the people who understand these forces have a significant advantage over those who don't. Today we're talking about dark psychology facts. Things about human behavior that most people prefer not to know, because knowing them makes it harder to maintain comfortable illusions. Some of these will be uncomfortable. That's the point. And if this is already landing, subscribe. New video every week, and every video goes deeper. Fact 1. Most people don't make decisions. They rationalize them. This is perhaps the most disturbing finding in behavioral psychology, and one of the most consistently replicated. The research suggests that a significant portion of human decision-making happens below conscious awareness. The emotional or instinctive response comes first. The conscious reasoning comes second. Not to guide the decision, but to explain it. To construct a narrative that makes the already made decision seem rational. This is called post hoc rationalization. And it means that when you think you're reasoning through a choice, you may often be doing something else entirely. Building a case for what you've already decided. The uncomfortable implication: most of the reasons you give for your decisions, to others and to yourself, are not actually why you made them. Fact 2. You are more susceptible to manipulation when you believe you are not. Research on resistance to persuasion consistently finds something counterintuitive. People who believe they are immune to manipulation are significantly easier to manipulate than those who acknowledge their vulnerability. Why? Because believing you're resistant to influence causes you to lower your guard precisely when it should be raised. The person who thinks "I can't be conned" is not evaluating information more carefully. They're evaluating it less carefully because they've already concluded they don't need to. The most sophisticated manipulators target exactly this. Not the person who is openly suspicious, but the person who is confident in their own judgment. Confidence in one's own rationality is one of the most reliable entry points for influence. The controversial version: intelligence does not protect you from manipulation. In some studies, more intelligent people are better at rationalizing why the manipulation they experienced was actually their own independent decision. Fact 3. People reveal what they want through what they criticize in others. This is one of the most practically useful findings in psychology. And one of the most unsettling, once you start applying it. When someone criticizes a behavior in another person with unusual intensity, with more emotion than the situation seems to warrant, they are often revealing something about their own relationship with that behavior. The person who reacts most strongly to dishonesty may have the most complicated relationship with their own. The person who is most vocal about other people's selfishness is often defending against something internal. Psychologists call this projection. But it's more specific than the common use of that word. It's not that people randomly accuse others of their own traits. It's that the traits they are most activated by, the ones that produce the strongest emotional response, are often the ones they have the most unresolved internal conflict about. This fact is disturbing because it applies to everyone, including you. The things that irritate you most in others are worth examining as windows into yourself. Fact 4. Groups make people more extreme, not more moderate. The assumption that collective deliberation produces balanced conclusions is one of the most persistent myths in social psychology. Research on group polarization consistently finds that when people who share a general inclination discuss it together, they don't converge toward moderation. They move further in the direction they already leaned. More extreme positions emerge from group discussion, not more measured ones. This is why communities built around any shared belief, political, religious, psychological, tend to produce more and more extreme versions of that belief over time. The process feels like insight, like clarity, like finally finding people who understand. It is also simultaneously a radicalization process. The dark application: online communities built around shared grievances, including communities that form around very legitimate grievances, are not immune to this dynamic. The discussion that feels like mutual understanding and validation is also structurally making everyone in it more extreme. Fact 5. People are significantly more afraid of looking stupid than of being wrong. This is the fact that explains more about human behavior than almost any other. Fear of looking stupid, technically called fear of negative evaluation, is one of the strongest motivators in social situations. It drives conformity, silence in meetings, the persistence of bad ideas in organizations, and the failure of relationships to address real problems directly. The critical distinction is between looking stupid and being wrong. Being wrong is an internal state that can be corrected. Looking stupid is a social state with social consequences. People will accept being wrong indefinitely as long as it's not visible. But they will go to extraordinary lengths to avoid looking stupid even briefly. This is why people rarely admit they don't understand something in a group setting. Why bad decisions persist in organizations, because no one wants to be the person who questions them. Why people stay in situations long past the point where they privately know they should leave, because leaving is an admission that they were wrong to stay. The controversial implication: most of what looks like stubbornness, denial, or irrationality is actually a fear of social exposure. The behavior that seems most irrational is often perfectly rational, as a strategy for managing social standing. Fact 6. Kindness is more effective than fear, and more dangerous. Most people understand that fear is a powerful motivator. What they underestimate is how much more powerful kindness is, and how much more easily it can be weaponized. Fear produces compliance and resentment. People do what they must and look for ways out. Kindness produces genuine loyalty, a desire to reciprocate, and a psychological investment in the relationship. It also produces a much stronger vulnerability to manipulation. Because when someone has been kind to you, your defenses are calibrated for a different kind of threat. The most effective manipulators don't use fear. They use warmth, generosity, and genuine seeming interest. They make you feel seen, understood, valuable. And then, once that investment is established, they use it. This is why the most damaging manipulation in human relationships doesn't look like manipulation at all. It looks like love. The person who hurts you most is rarely someone you feared. It's almost always someone who made you feel safe. Fact 7. The most dangerous person in any room is the one who needs to be seen as good. Most people assume that the people most likely to cause harm are those who openly don't care about morality. The callous, the overtly selfish, the ones who show no concern for others. The research suggests something more disturbing. People with the strongest need to maintain a moral identity, to see themselves as fundamentally good, ethical, honest, are capable of rationalizing a wider range of harmful behaviors precisely because they can't afford to acknowledge them as harmful. If they did, it would contradict the core identity they are organized around. Every harmful action gets reframed. The cruelty becomes discipline. The manipulation becomes protection. The selfishness becomes the only rational response to an unfair situation. The person who never questions their own goodness never needs to stop. The person who genuinely struggles with whether they're doing the right thing is almost certainly more trustworthy than the one who never doubts it. Because doubt is the mechanism through which behavior gets corrected. The most dangerous person in any room is not the one who doesn't care about being good. It's the one who has decided, without reservation, that they already are. Subscribe for more videos on dark psychology, human behavior, and how to protect your mind. I'll see you next week.